Hello all, welcome to Abhiram IAS Academy. Let us go through the daily chronicles of January 27, 2025. So today we are going to discuss everything about Startup India scheme, and especially because it entered the 9th year since its inception in 2016. We will look at the evolution of the Startup India, what are the achievements and what are the emerging opportunities for startups, and how is government supporting, what are different challenges and what is the way forward. So let us look at the timeline. Initially, it was announced in Independence Day of 2015. Eventually, it was formally launched in January 2016. And in June 2016, government has come up with the fund of funds mainly to act as financial support for the startups. So it is a 10,000 crore corpus fund managed by SIDBI, that is Small Industries Development Bank of India. And in 2016, we have Atal Innovation Mission also launched, that is mainly to foster the culture of entrepreneurship and also innovation. So it has numerous elements under it, that is Atal Incubation Centers, Mentor India program. So all these are aiming at fostering the culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. And in 2020, we have National Startup Awards also, mainly to recognize those startups which have successfully performed well and to act as a recognition mechanism to encourage them. So that was in 2020, we have come up with National Startup Awards. And in April 2022, the government has launched Open Network Digital Commerce. Okay, so this is a open network digital commerce mainly to democratize the e-commerce area. So it is dominated by Amazon and Flipkart like giants. So to give a level playing field to the small businesses, government has come up with this. And in July 2023, we have draft National Deep Tech Startup Policy. And in September 2024, we can see that government has modified the company's rules of 2016 to ease the reverse flipping norms. And in September 2024, again, government has also come up with Bhaskar, that is nothing but Bharat Startup Knowledge Access Registry. So we are going to see some of this in detail. So let us look at what is fund of funds. We have seen that 10,000 crore corpus fund is managed by SIDBI, mainly to finance the startups. Okay, and this is nothing but accumulation of funds from multiple entities like your alternate investment capital or alternate investment fund, and also venture capital funds. So venture capital funds are nothing but those individuals who invest in high risk initiatives, that is high risk startup enterprises with high returns also, okay, especially in their early stages. So this is nothing but venture capital fund. And another one is alternative investment fund. This is nothing but a group of individuals may actually contribute their fundings to some common investment pool, and they will follow the investment based on a predetermined investment policy. So that is your alternative investment fund or alternative investment capital. Then we have Atal Innovation Mission also. So this is mainly to foster the culture of innovation and entrepreneurship in India. It has numerous elements like Atal Tinkering Labs and Atal Incubation Centers, Mentor India program. So all these. Okay, so Atal Tinkering Labs is where the young minds, that is students, will test and try their ideas in these labs. Okay, and these mentors will chair the positions in Atal Tinkering Labs and also Atal Incubation Centers, okay, to help the startups. So what are Atal Incubation Centers? Usually startups may have ideas, but they also need different things like funds, okay, and also some mentorship from some experienced persons. It will try to address numerous needs of the startups. And then we have Open Network Digital Commerce. We have seen that some giants like Amazon, Flipkart, okay, all these will dominate the global e-commerce marketplace and also in India. So we need some level playing field for the small businesses so they can freely interact with the buyers and sellers. So anyone can interact on this platform without actually starting any kind of software for e-commerce, okay, from scratch. They don't need to develop a software for e-commerce platform from scratch. They can simply hop on to this platform and interact with buyers or sellers as they need. Then we have Deep Tech Startup Policy. So what is normal tech and what is deep tech? Normal tech is nothing but something like your mobile application or some kind of software upgradation. But whereas deep tech, so deep tech has high entry barriers. Okay, so it has high entry barriers. It needs high investment and has high disruptive potential also. So these are different characteristics. So seeing this, you can understand that deep tech is nothing but the emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, nanotechnology, biotechnology, all these come under deep tech startup policy. Why deep tech? Because startups can grab the opportunities in this area and achieve significantly at an exponential rate compared to the normal technology. So that's why government has come up with this draft policy. It is not yet implemented. And then we have reverse flipping. A company can actually have a base, okay, so it can actually have a base in Bengaluru initially, but to attract the global investor and also to attract the global customer base, it can actually shift to something like Singapore, okay. But if it wants to come back mainly for IPOs, that is initial public offerings, and also to grab the domestic market opportunities, it needs clearance by NCLT, that is National Company Law Tribunal. But this is a cumbersome process. So government has eased the reverse flipping norms in 2016 by amending the company rules. And then we have Bhaskar, that is Bharat Startup Knowledge Access Registry. So startups will have numerous stakeholders, okay. It can be your government, it can be the startup per se, and also some kind of funding individuals, and also you need a mentor. So all these need to interact, right? So they need some credible database for this. Everyone will be given a unique identification, that is, it will authenticate each of these stakeholders so that they can credibly interact among themselves through this platform. So that is the purpose of Bhaskar. So let us look at the achievements of the startup. So Startup India scheme, we can see the achievements. The DPIIT, that is Department of Promotion for Industry and Internal Trade, has recognized some startups. In 2016, it was just 500, but in 2024, it has become 1.3 lakh. So this is just the recognized ones, and including the unrecognized ones, it can actually go to 1.6 lakhs also. We have also the third largest number of unicorns in global level. That is after US and China, we have the highest number of unicorns. So that is the achievement of Startup India. And also in terms of the funding, we have seen significant growth. That is 15 times growth can be seen in this funding. In 2016, it was just $8 billion. But in 2024, it is $155 billion, which is significant, and exponential growth can be seen in this funding. And direct jobs, number of direct jobs created is also significantly high. 1.66 million direct jobs were created because of this startup system. And even it contributed to the women empowerment, because more than 76,000 startups have actually at least one woman director on their board. So it is contributing to the women entrepreneurs also. And so how were startups able to scale up significantly? It was because of, it was just hopping on to existing digital public infrastructure, something like your Aadhaar, okay. So all these. So robust digital public infrastructure has contributed to the multiplier effect and helped in scaling up of the startups. So digital public goods like Aadhaar, UPI, they have democratized the opportunities in multiple sectors like fintech, edtech, that is education technology, and also agri-technology. We can see soil health cards here in agri-tech. In fintech, we can see PhonePe, Google Pay, UPay, all this, okay. And in edtech also, we can see multiple initiatives by different companies like Byju's, Unacademy, all this. And then even the funds have contributed significantly. We have seen Fund of Funds initiative. It is actually worth 11,688 crore. So it has contributed significantly for startups funding, okay. And then all this enable the startups to scale up and reach the underserved regions also, because a digital public infrastructure like UPI can be accessed even in the remote locations. They can also make digital payments because of these initiatives. So we can see the contribution of digital public infrastructure for scaling up of the startups. Startups may have different ideas, but they need different supports from multiple stakeholders. We have seen from government, it needs policy support, and from financials, it needs funds, and for mentors, it needs some experience. So along with this, if they collaborate with the established players, they can significantly scale up and benefit from this. So let us look at numerous examples by the startups, okay, numerous successful ones. They have been significant in different sectors, starting from healthcare to finance. We have seen in finance UPI, different initiatives were there. And even in healthcare, the contribution of the startups in emerging technologies like AI and machine learning is significant. For example, Cure AI. So Cure AI is an initiative which will aid the radiologist in helping to study their scans, okay, something like MRI, CT scans. The radiologist, because of the human error, might miss actually some diagnosis, but with the help of artificial intelligence, he can comprehensively study the scans and eliminate any kind of errors. So that is this. Cure AI. And Niramai is also one such initiative which relies on just thermal imaging to detect any kind of breast cancers. Okay, so that is also relying on artificial intelligence and machine learning. And then we have big data and quantum computing, especially in researching and problem solving. So we have seen one initiative, that is AlphaFold by DeepMind. So what is this initiative? Usually proteins has 3D structures. So okay, the proteins within human bodies have multiple structures which are very difficult to decipher. Okay, so but AlphaFold is an initiative which try to map all these protein structures. That is, it predicted accurately 3D structures of different proteins. Initially it used to take at least few months, okay, or some years to decipher one protein structure, but the AlphaFold has actually released the database for the global community of 200 million protein structures. Okay, so it is significant contribution. So it is under Google now. Then energy transition and electric vehicles in climate change and sustainability also, we can see some startup initiatives like Charger startup and also EtherGrid. EtherGrid is mainly assuming responsibility for expanding the EV, that is electric charging infrastructure across India, whereas Charger is focusing on developing some small compact charging stations which can be scaled in even the tier 2 and 3 towns. Okay, so that is Charger. And in robotics, drones and space exploration, we have numerous examples like Agnikul Cosmos. So what is this? It is basically a space-based startup. Okay, it tried to have Agniban. We have seen Agniban. So this is nothing but a small satellite launch vehicle, which is the specialization of this Agnikul startup. So it is aiming to develop the different small satellite launch vehicles using 3D printing and additive manufacturing, which will reduce the cost of making one satellite significantly. It will take down the cost. So strong foundation and alignment with national priorities is also important. So startups may have numerous ideas, but their motives might be profit. Okay, so to align their goals with the national priorities, government has come up with numerous policies. Okay, the Atal New India Challenge is also one such initiative where it encourages startups to solve the pressing problems that nation is facing, especially in the areas like climate change, water scarcity, all this. So that is one initiative. And apart from this, government has numerous initiatives to support the startups, that is National Quantum Mission, India AI Mission, Semiconductor Mission, and also it has contributed R&D investments worth 1 lakh crore. So that is the support by the government. And what are the challenges in this? So there is a high risk in the startups. We have seen they are just ideas. They need multiple support by numerous stakeholders. But especially for deep tech, that is AI and machine learning, it is highly costly and there are high entry barriers and it is highly technical and skill intensive. So in these areas, they need funding for a long term. That is, the funding must be patient. Okay, it shouldn't be in a hurry. So we need access to this long-term and patient capital. But right now, there is limited access, especially in the high-risk areas, that is these emerging technologies. And also, we have fund of funds that will act as a common fund to multiple startup funding. But we need some kind of specialized fund because emerging technologies like areas need a specialized tailor-made funding mechanism for its own development. So we need specialized funding in this area. Majority of the funding comes from abroad. That is, especially if you see the last year, 75% of the investment, that is $12 billion, has actually come from abroad, not in India. That means the domestic players are actually showing not much interest in funding this, perceiving them as high risky investments. So we have to encourage the domestic institutions, especially the long-term funding like pension funds and insurance funds. So all this can contribute significantly to the startup funding at a long-term basis. So they can be part of this angel networking if the government gives significant support to them also by incentivizing with some kind of tax breaks. To make this scheme successful in the long run, we need support from multiple stakeholders like government through its policy measures, and entrepreneur can give his ideas, and also educational institutions also need to help because we are lacking in collaboration between the industry and academic institutions because academic institutions might have their own curriculum which is not updated. So that is leading to the skill gap. Okay, that means the skills imparted in the educational institutions are not actually relevant to the industrial demands. So the skill gap can be plugged by the partnerships between the educational institutions and the industries through apprenticeship programs and also government policies to unlock the full potential of this scheme. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to Abhiram IAS Academy.